Hi, hi,
Hi,
Jenson.
how are you?
I'm doing good, sir. How are you doing?
Good, good. It must be early for you.
Yeah, it's 2:30 a.m. for me.
Good for you. You're a hard worker.
First of all, thank you very much, Jensen, for giving me opportunity to present you and your work to my audience through my podcast.
Absolutely. No, I appreciate the opportunity.
So I've gone through a profile. I can see you're doing great work. So I thought to tell about your work to my audience. So can you please introduce yourself to my audience?
Yeah, sure. So my name is Jenson Vliss, co-founder and COO of Ibis Industries. Ibis Industries was formed about a year ago, and we've been really busy getting to work. The primary function of the company is enabling other companies to build their products, right? So we're the manufacturing partner that me, my co-founder Sam, we wish we always had. um, Sam's background comes from defense, aerospace, military, and aerospace, and worked in a manufacturing engineering position, always dealing with the problems that come with engineering and manufacturing. I come from a motorsport and automotive background and perception systems, so autonomous vehicles, and both of us always interfaced with manufacturing partners of different kinds. We always wanted to find someone that was less friction than what we had encountered previously. So we set out to be that partner. And what Ibis Industries focuses on primarily is a yes first attitude. So we want to say yes where others say no. That can come in the form of timelines, that can come in the form of data completeness, right? That can come in multiple different forms. And the way that we've set up our internal processes and teams enables us to deal with these tight timelines, ambiguity in data clarity. We have the ability to pick up where any customer is in their process. So if they've back of the napkin sketch, we have processes in place that can pick up from there and move forward. If they have defined designs and technical requirements, work instructions already completed, perfect. We can start from there. And we focus primarily on assemblies. So mechanical, electrical assemblies for all different types of products and customers, everything ranging from aerospace, defense, robotics. Robotics is a pretty broad term nowadays. It's not just something that looks like the classic robot. It could be anything that, is effectively software defined but hardware enabled technology. So you can think of, you know, a little roving device that goes across construction sites that might have cameras or a LiDAR on top. That would be a robot nowadays. Something that would be used in warehouse operations for scanning and detecting packages, right? With a LiDAR system, that could be a robot nowadays, right? And then obviously the classic robots, humanoid robots, and then, automation and machines. So these are our bread and butter customers. And for many different reasons, they they can't or they don't want to manufacture internally, right? Which is why they seek partners like us. Smaller teams, as an example, being located here in Southern California, we're based in Santa Ana. That's in Southern California in Orange County. Um, all around us are small companies that maybe recently received, venture funding. They got their first seed funding, and they immediately hire some design engineers, and then maybe one mechanical guy, right? Some software engineers, and they'll build a prototype over the first 6 to 12 months, sink a lot of resources into it, get it working, present it to a customer, and then maybe that customer wants 10 or 20 or 30 or 50, right? So like their first big sell. So then they all turn to the one mechanical guy and say, "Hey, build me all of the robot, all of our product." And then he goes like, "Are you kidding? Like we didn't document anything. Uh, we spent about 500,000 or more on it, and you just sold it for 80 grand each, whatever." And half the things we purchased are from countries that we don't want to depend on moving forward. So he's like, I'm sorry, I can't. Or they either need to hire more people, get into a bigger space, or find another solution. So we like to be that other solution. So we say, hey, cool, no worries. No matter where you're at in your process, if you need 30 of these things built, look no further. We're here to help you. And we can work through everything with them. We can take on the supply chain side. We have our own supply chain experts in house. We have our own procurement strategies and vendor approved vendor lists. We're AS9100 certified. We can take over the whole project turnkey for you, including engineering. So we like to offer that. So a lot of companies that are smaller typically give us more product scope, and then the larger the company gets, uh, the least product scope we typically see. So like the SpaceXs of these world, like bigger companies such as them, they might have us installing fasteners or bushings or bearings into some components for them, and kind of middle-sized companies. Think of like, late stage startups, maybe they've been in it for 5 to 10 years. They already have running programs, they have production orders, they need to fulfill quantities. A lot of these companies don't necessarily want to build everything internally because they want their internal resources focused on, the next prototype, right? They want their internal resources focused on working with the engineers, unlocking what's next. So a lot of these production-y type orders come to us, right? And we help them with that. Now, what makes us different and what makes us a little unique in the space is that we are automation first focused. So we basically always approach our problems and our tasks with, okay, which tools exist that can make this possible without increasing our headcount, right? So we explore all of those options first. We've actually built our own internal automation tooling, right? Whether digital or physical. Our whole quoting process is now automated for about 60% of the work that we do. It's all linked into our ERP system. It's linked into our purchasing. It's linked into our planning. It's linked into our PLM. The bill of materials are automatically created. So all of these things, which would normally take, a team to get done over a day or 2 days or 3 days, have effectively been reduced to one person or a couple people can now manage much, much more in a much shorter time frame, which enables us to be quicker. And this is more or less a part of the enablement for us to be flexible with saying yes first, right? This yes first attitude that I talked about earlier. Um, this is something that, hey, we can say yes because we have tools that don't care, right? We have tools that, aren't bothered by the stage of your data completeness or the type of scope of the project. We've built factors surrounding that into our technology where it simply adapts to it. It absorbs it. It moves forward irrespective of the stage. So it definitely puts us in a position to be very quick at responding, very quick to quoting, and very quick to begin production, right? And that's more or less what we do in a nutshell. Tons of opportunity out there and tons of companies that want to start building things. We're there to make that happen, right? So nowadays, with AI and all of the opportunities surrounding that, we actually see this as a massive unlock for people that might never have started their own companies before, or people that might never have designed their own products before. If you think just 10 years ago, maybe even 5 years ago, a design engineer could have an idea in their head, but they would need months and months of time, maybe a team around them, some funding. And nowadays, one engineer with some, AI tooling or maybe a couple subscriptions to some premium models can get through so much calculation and so much of the engineering like that. It's not as big of a barrier anymore, and they can get to a prototype design much quicker and with much fewer resources as it would have taken before. So then we're there to take that from them and say, hey, look, you did this by yourself or you did this with a small team. You didn't need 10 million. you maybe needed a few 100,000, right? Or even less. And now instead of moving into your own big workshop, hiring your whole team to build it, just hand the baton off to us. We'll get your prototype for you done. We'll get this done. You can then demo it. You can then sell 50 more. And then we can either continue building for you or you can take a different decision at that point, right? But we want to be there for them. And we want to enable more people to start building more things. And the vision for IBIS as of now is to be effectively the world's largest partner that is offering these solutions. So we're very ambitious. We have, global mindset, and we absolutely want to double down every day on automation first, a yes can do attitude, and just go out there and just build as much as we can. So that's a little bit about us.
So, when you started, what kind of problems that you want to solve, and right now the solutions that you are already providing. Apart from that, do you want to solve other problems as well? Do you have other solutions as well for other industries?
Yeah, so we're working on a few different things. What I just laid out is effectively the core offering of our business today. Although we are working on different programs that aren't in the spotlight, I can't talk about everything, but a few kind of glimpses will be automation that we would then offer for other people to help them build more. So not just keeping it all for ourselves, but also productizing some of our solutions and making it available for others, right? At the end of the day, we just want more things built in the US, right? That's at the core of what we believe in. We want to reshore, onshore, everything back here, enable all the different manufacturing capabilities that we have that maybe we lost or maybe had the lights switched off. We want all of that back, and we want to help people do that as much as possible. So what we're developing in-house, we're going to productize and offer externally. So whether it's the digital automation tools that we're building or it's physical automation tools, which that's what I really can't talk about right now, but that is definitely our vision moving forward, right?
So, for what kind of industries that you help, and also which scale companies that you help?
So typically we're industry agnostic. That means we don't mind, right? We talk to people that are everything from agriculture technology, right? So farming technology, warehousing technology, traditional robots that, whether it's humanoid, right, or any other form, automotive, aerospace, defense, surveillance. So really a broad brush of customers. And we like that because we believe that a healthy mix of customers is healthy, right? For our longevity as a company. Not being too dependent in one industry, not being too dependent on one product type, not being too dependent on any one thing. So we try and balance out our customers in a healthy way. And we also try and balance out the type of projects we take on in a healthy way. So there are definitely companies who are, hey, always like, hey, I need whatever I need yesterday. I'm calling you today, but I wanted it yesterday, right? So that's super quick turn prototype. That world exists, and there's benefits to participating in those types of industries and customers. Typically these come with premium costs. So you work harder, but you get a higher margin on what you do. And the bet you're making is that whoever you're helping with this quick turn work, you will then embed yourself as the incumbent supplier or partner whenever they need more. Or if that prototype then goes into a serial or a small batch production run, that you're the no brainer solution because you've done it before, it. So we try and balance that on our lines, at least let's say 30 to 40% of our work. And then the remaining 60 is, smaller batch sizes to medium to large batch sizes, more predictability, things like that. So we're not afraid of quick turn work. It's just a lose lose. You won't succeed if all you do are working with companies that you need to have a very high attention to detail, quick response time. Like you need to save some capacity for those special types of customers.
So you said you work globally. So how do you deliver the service which are from other geological location? And what is the timeline that you give or the client or the customer, ask
Yeah,
you to solve their problem?
sure. So currently the global network that we have typically is more tailored on the supply chain side of things. So when we are procuring components, when we are sourcing parts, when we are buying in material to manufacture, we're dealing with companies across Europe, across Asia, and everywhere else in the world. So that's on the supply chain side of things. On the customer base side of things, we're about 90% in the US, and we're starting to engage with European customers. And the strategy there is that in the next, let's say, 3 to 5 years, we will have our own location in Western Europe or Eastern Europe, and or both, and really double click and focus on domestic, so kind of local manufacturing for European companies. And then from there, we'll see what happens. But right now, the focus is currently um, increasing our footprint in the US, slowly integrating some European companies now, and then establishing a presence in Europe in the next 3 to 5 years, and then expanding from there.
And tell us about your team and the expertise that you have.
So our team typically, so what we offer, we build all sorts of things. So we've done, like I had mentioned, things as simple as, bearing installation, rivet installation, so very simple assembly processes, all the way up to complete electronic box builds where we did all of the electronics harnessing, boards, lidar calibration, camera calibration, sensor bring ups, computer testing, all of these types of things, and preparing everything and packaging it in a way that it is then sent to a production line somewhere else, put on the line, they unbox it, and then put it onto whatever it may go on to next. So that's kind of the level of detail we can deliver to, the complexity that we can deliver to. I had indicated earlier that we are AS9100 certified, which is an aerospace quality certification. So, we're working on parts that go to space, and we're working on parts that fly in the air. And all of these types of components come with a different caliber of you know, traceability, quality documentation, and understanding everything that had been done on that component, where it came from, and its current state, right? So these are all the different types of complexities and customer profiles and quality standards that we can adhere to.
What businesses that you help majorly?
So unfortunately, I can't disclose most of the companies that we work
Yeah.
with. Um, we're pretty we're pretty bound to secrecy just from, confidentiality agreements and things like that. However, what I can say is if you look at, let's say, the top 5, 10 space companies in the US, we're working with people on that list. If you look at the top defense companies in the US, we're working with people on that list. If you look at the top robotics companies in the US, we're working with people on that list. Top AI companies, we're working with people on that list. Um, and so on and so forth. So it's like in all the different industries that we work in, we're pretty much able to support those that are moving the fastest, that have the highest demands, and need the most things built effectively. So that's what I can say. Um, yeah, sorry, but it is what it is.
Sure, sure. So, before and after taking your service, having your service, uh, what's the productivity? What kind of a response or the feedback that you get from your clients?
So in the business that we work in, the best feedback you can get is more orders, right? So that's the best feedback. Anyone can tell you anything, right? But if they're not ordering more with you, that's pretty clear, right?
Yeah, okay.
So we we do a bunch of work for our customers. I think that I I'm having trouble thinking of companies that we've worked with over the last year that haven't reordered. Let's say an overwhelming majority have. And for the ones that haven't, I really don't think that's due to our performance. I think it's just due to their production demands or whatever their business needs may be. But, you know, we have, we understand the importance of delivering, right? And executing to what the customer needs, right? Every customer's different. Some companies care more about, delivery date, right? And hey, send it to me by this date. It doesn't need to be 150% perfect. I just need it to fit in this mock-up for this build, and it needs to function as it should, right? And then others, it make it, do whatever it takes, but it has to absolutely adhere to every single little detail that is needed. So understanding the customer needs, right? Whether they care about delivery as fast as possible or quality at all cost or, lowest price possible. The last one we typically don't get too much because a lot of the companies that we work with, they have the budgets and it's more or less delivering what they ask for as fast as possible, right? To the quality standard that they do. But basically, we get repeat orders and we hit it. That's one thing that Sam and I and the team here really strive for is kind of an at all reasonable cost mentality of we get it done. If we sign up for it, we need to figure it out. We definitely don't want our name associated with they don't care. They don't do what they say they're going to do. They say, they deliver things that we don't need or that we can't accept. That's an instant death sentence in this industry because, word spreads very quick. So if you develop a reputation for anything negative, very low chance it's going to stay just within that one customer. It will spread. So anyway, bunch of different reasons. We absolutely strive to be the best. And as far as competencies in the team, we've got guys that have built rockets for, different leading space companies. We've got guys that have built drones for leading drone companies. We've got guys that have built robots. We got guys that have built, weapons systems. We've got guys that have built, cars. And it's a huge spread in talent, but it's really deep knowledge. So it's a wide spread of experience, but super deep knowledge in each area. And, the core team that we've put together is, we huddle up and we identify potential risks with projects, we weigh them and then we assign, resources according to what we think might, turn out to be the biggest, hazard in the project or the risk, and we try and get ahead of every problem well in advance. So we've got a great structure set up in-house. We got great processes set up, and we got a great team that executes on it all. So yeah, couldn't be happier with the team that we have and what we're able to build.
So, working in the diversified manufacturing products. So, how different it is for you, and how do you manage actually?
That's a good question. And I would say the biggest challenge that exists with managing projects that spread across different industries is understanding what is important for that customer and that project, right? As I tried to indicate earlier, and how that translates into our work internally. You know, the level of focus and attention that needs to go onto a satellite project or a space program, that attention needs to be laser focused. The person doing that work needs to be incredibly experienced and know exactly everything he's going to do and not deviate from any process whatsoever, and ensure that he does the same thing every time and that that same thing is the correct way and the correct thing to do. So it takes long. It takes more effort. It takes more resources. As a result, you charge more for that, right? You charge for that expertise. There's a premium associated with these types of projects. Now, if all we did in the company were these high caliber space projects, that's just the mentality you set for everybody, right? So everyone's always working to the same rhythm, to the same pace, to the same standard. We're a little bit different in the sense that, you know, we could have one product line going on, which is the space program. And, you know, in a different department on a different side, it could be, a robot, right? For agriculture, let's say. And for that, you don't charge space pricing. You charge you charge less because the demands are less, right? And trying to balance the mentality in the company of, hey, look, the level of everything depends on what it is you're working on at that moment, right? We don't want the guy working on let's say the construction equipment, agriculture equipment, right? We don't want him spending the amount of time that he would if he was working on a space program, working on that project, because it would take too long, right? It's unnecessary. Measuring every single torque value that he does with every single screw, as an example, is unnecessary, takes too long. You're not only going to miss your delivery dates because each build is taking maybe 2, 3 times longer than it should, but you're also investing way too much resources and you're not making any money on it because you sold it at a price that's competitive in that industry, which isn't the price for space. So basically, dealing with this culture of, hey, we have standards and excellence, but it differs depending on the exact program and part you're working on. And one person might argue, well, isn't that risk then? That, you know, if you have these different standards and you have these different types of projects, you know, aren't you going to make mistakes? And the answer is, for us, maybe, but we don't, in the sense that we do have our processes bulletproof, and our employees and our, you know, the team here basically loves the fact that there is this product diversity, right? They're able to build different things. And that makes it very exciting to come to work. You know, for people that are mechanically inclined, that don't want to sit behind a computer screen all day working on Excel spreadsheets, they want to be with their hands building cool products. You know, one week it may be an agricultural autonomous tractor, right? The next week it may be a program for a defense company. The next week it's something else. The next week it's something else, right? And this kind of diversity in building is a huge advantage to come work for us, because you're not going to sit at the table every day assembling, you know, the same drone or the same camera or the same whatever for the next 365 days, right? You come in and it's diverse. So we believe that this type of build diversity, this type of rotational aspect is critical in keeping your people motivated, enabling environment that supports continuous learning, and actually makes the teammates better, because they're now learning how to problem solve across many different types of things, opposed to just one specific type of thing. Now, coming back to the, you know, the high caliber space program, we do have some people on our team that don't work on those projects, right? Because they're not there yet. They still need to develop more skills, more experience, more training, more certificates whatsoever to be able to qualify. But we do have team members that are qualified across the board that can rotate between all these different types of programs. So that's a little bit about what we do. And I would say that is probably the biggest challenge that we have, is making sure that um, when you don't need to be when you don't need to be at full throttle with quality and documentation and everything, you're not, right. And that kind of instinctual balance of, okay, this is this type of customer, here's the quality requirements that are defined, I'm just going to work to that, and I'm not going to spend more time than I need to.
So how is working with AI?
It is it is interesting, and I love it. Every month it seems, it's like we'll sink our teeth into something, we'll get 3 4 weeks into a problem, and then something new is released, and then it takes us back 2 steps because we need to now recalibrate, understand what's changed, and then move forward. But it's it's insane, and you're going to be hearing more about what we're working on exactly, I'd say, in the next 6 months. However, it's something that's absolutely going to revolutionize our industry, and it is definitely something that each company needs to invest in. You are able to do things 10 times faster. You're able to do things at 10 times more. And, the pricing of these tools are so much cheaper than people are. So equipping your people with these tools effectively gives them, the power of a team of 10 behind them, in all honesty. And that's something that we're constantly dealing with every day, is understanding how we can integrate more and more and more. We're obviously limited because we have so much physical work that needs to happen, right? In our business, we build things for our customers, and physical AI will definitely play a role in improving our company and kind of our productivity and throughput. It's just going to trail maybe 5 years behind all of the digital tools today. But that's why we're focusing on a lot on physical AI as well for ourselves internally. So that's something that I'm going to be more excited to talk about, like I said, in about 6 months' time. But creating the solutions that no one dreamed possible, that's one of the reasons why we get up every day and come to work. So yeah, very much looking forward to the future.
In recent past, have you done any projects that actually was challenging for you?
Of course, every project has its own respective challenge. Um, a lot of the challenge, so we've got some projects right now where we're making thousands of a certain thing, right? Thousands. And it's at the simplicity where you where we're making thousands and delivering thousands a month. So it's not a 5 year contract and every month you deliver X amount and you need a team of 10, right? It's something that has very high throughput, 20-minute cycle time, right? And that is an interesting challenge for us because it is so different. And we love stepping into these types of projects. We love growing what we're doing. We're going to step into more of these projects, but it really had us flip our brain kind of a 180 degree, because everything before was, okay, we need to do one of these, we need to do 10 of these, we need to do 50 of these, we need to do 100 of these. And, the timeline is a week or 3 months or whatever. And there the real questions are, okay, I dive into every detail. Did I absolutely capture every single component that I needed? Sometimes the bill of materials is over 100 items, so you need to manage, a complex inventory balance, maybe 30 to 40 different suppliers, make sure everything comes in, and then understand that you have all of the tooling required and that everyone understands all of the intricate steps into building this complex thing. With low complexity, high volumes, it's in this case the opposite, because you're dealing with like three suppliers, right? And these are more or less commercial off the shelf components, right? In some cases, so getting the deliveries aren't absolutely the hardest bottleneck, managing all of that, but ensuring that you're able to have the throughput required to make money, right? Because in a more complicated program, if someone's building something and there's a question, yeah, okay, great. You stop building, you walk over to a colleague, to the responsible manufacturing engineer, and you sit down and you talk about it. Maybe it takes 30 minutes, maybe it takes an hour, but then you solve it, right? And then you move forward. When you're building thousands of something a month that need to have, like every second matters, right? So then you develop processes which are, okay, if you can't do the assembly for whatever reason, you don't think about it. You take that one part, you put it to the side, you grab the next one, and then you start again, right? And you then have a box of parts or whatever at the end of the day that maybe you weren't able to do. Someone else deals with that. But basically, you can't have the line down at all. You have to absolutely ensure that you're continuously producing. So that means intense studies before the program starts. You have to analyze all the different steps, throughput times, do tests, et cetera, and just have all of these contingency plans for if anything happens for whatever reason, this is what we can do to limit the amount of downtime we have to just continue and continue and continue building. Because if it's down for 2 hours, that can be the difference between delivering the quantity for that day or not, or for that week. So um, another thing of kind of flipping the mentality, developing whole new processes, developing all new, methods of working, and it's fun. I mean, I love it. Dealing with all of these different types of programs that we're bringing in is absolutely amazing. Um, because to your point, what were some of the challenging parts? I'd say doing things for the first time is exciting, but it's also challenging, right? Because you don't have that infrastructure developed internally to just plug it in and just go. You're having to develop that in parallel with ramping something up. So, yeah, that was a challenge we faced in the first, let's say, 6 to 8 months, but now we've more or less seen most of the different types of projects that we expect to see. So the infrastructure is established, and we're able to now more or less plug and play. And now the challenges that we're dealing with are more or less, okay, the infrastructure exists, but how much load can the infrastructure handle? Right. So now we're getting more projects and more projects and more projects and more projects. So then you think, okay, were the processes I developed at the beginning suitable for all of this new work? And then you're constantly maintaining and slightly modifying and further developing processes. But, you know, for us from the beginning, we focused on our quality. So the AS9100 aerospace certification was something that we knew we needed from day one. So the first decisions made in the company when we were setting everything up were focused with this in mind. So when we went to apply for the certification, it wasn't a massive 180 for the company to now change everything we're doing. It was like a, hey guys, we're now going to go for the certification. And there's an additional 15% of new things that we need to integrate. Instead of saying, hey guys, we want to go for this new certification. Now you have to undo everything you've been doing for the last, 12 months, because we got to do it this way now. We got to document things in this way now. We need to use our tools in this way now. So from the very beginning, we had that in mind with the aerospace certification, and also with our inventory, as an example. As a company that focuses on assemblies, your inventory is key. Knowing what you have and what you've consumed is one of the most important things that a company can do to make sure that you can operate efficiently. It enables you to have everything needed on the table when it's needed to build. So often, all so often you have planning, people show up, you have the tools, but not everything is there to build it. So what do? Everything's there, but you're unable because one part's missing, two parts are missing, something's incomplete, right? So from day one, we've had an absolute focus on our inventory. Our inventory manager is an absolute rock star and has made sure that the processes that we're developing there are bulletproof and can scale. So everything we do is tracked, traced, located. Everything that we build is built on a manufacturing order that has a bill of materials for each part. And we kit everything that's required to build in advance. It's all consumed in our ERP system, and it is all digitally traced, and it all makes sense. Um, that's the good side, right? Naturally, there's bits and pieces that don't work that we always have to kind of firefight, but that's the same in any company that deals with these big ERP systems. But since we had a focus on that from day one, we deal with less problems surrounding those things. So it's not a big problem for us. It's not a big deal. It's not a big pain in our side um, when dealing with this. So that's how we overcome a lot of challenges that other companies may face. Is we identified what was important from day one, and we actually stuck to keeping that as a focus point from the first day, making sure that our processes can cope with the growth we're experiencing now.
I can clearly understand you have diversified projects and also the expertise, the diversity in your expertise. So how fast you are able to adapt to one project to other project, and how fast you are able to understand the architecture of a project visually.
So it depends completely on the scope of the customer's request. We've done things where, there was a project where we needed to build hundreds of units of something, right? And each unit had three different systems, and each system had all different types of cameras and lidars and computers and cables and mechanical fabricated components and wire harnesses that we needed to manufacture and all these different types of things. So for a program like that, we like to sink our teeth into it, and it can take, anywhere from a couple days to like a week or so, right? To really get our head around it and to offer something that we're actually confident to stand behind. However, if a customer needs some, wire harnesses done, or very simple mechanical installations or things like that, this is like a 3-minute quote. They send us the RFQ. We acknowledge the RFQ, and then effectively, before they can respond with, "Oh, great, yeah, looking forward to it," we're able to put a quote in front of them, right? And that quote includes like our capacity check, our tooling. Do we have the tooling required? And do we have any questions on the drawing as well? So it just completely ranges. But we have projects every week where we have parts dropped off in the morning, and they're done in 2 hours, 3 hours, because that is the need from that customer, right? And we can satisfy that, we can honor that. Some companies want and need quick turn for different processes, and we establish agreements with them where we are that supplier for them. So that's what I was trying to say earlier, is you can only do that for like 30, 40-ish% of your clients. You can't have everyone dropping things off constantly and picking up in 4 hours, or else you'll just go crazy. You won't succeed. Um, so for certain customers, we make those agreements and we honor that. And because it's a minority portion of our business, we're able to do it efficiently, effectively, and repeatedly, right?
So at last, there will be a lot of business owners, founders, chief executive officers, or people who are working on the business side of uh, the technology. Watching and listening to this conversation. To you, uh, uh, do you have words to them about your service?
Yeah, I think we've covered a lot in the last 45 minutes. However, all I can say is if if your company focuses on a product that requires building and manufacturing, if you have problems or challenges there, we don't care what size you are of a company. We don't care what processes are required, right? We don't care where your stage of design is. We're only a phone call away. We're only an email away. And because we absolutely want to enable as many people as possible to build, if we can't help you for whatever reason, we have no problem looking into our network to see if we can find someone who can, right? So we absolutely just want to see people succeed in this space. And we want to help as many people as possible. So reach out if you have manufacturing issues, if you pulling your hair out for whatever reason, or if you see the need to bring in external manufacturing support. Call us, and if we can't help you, we'll do our best to find someone who can.
So where they can reach out to you? Your website?
Go to our website, ibismfg.com or ibis.industries. Go to our LinkedIn, Ibis Industries. Go to my LinkedIn and just ping us, message us, info@ibismfg.com. Reach out over my LinkedIn, go to our website. More than happy to have a chat with anyone. So, yeah, feel free.
I'll 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 share the links in the description of this video, also in my website as well, and also on the screen as well. People who finds this conversation anywhere in the internet can able to see the work that you're doing and take the help of yours for their product building, and also for their manufacturing thing. Thank you
Absolutely
again.
appreciated.
Yeah,
Thank you,
and
Sai
at
Charan.
last, as a founder, as a business owner, as a problem solver, as a person who is into from the space industry to the technology to the robotics now, and also in the farming, as you said, in the agriculture, you are into multiple. Like, what's your observation? Having diversified experience, what's your observation about my work? Have you seen any interviews of mine on YouTube?
I have. I have seen it. So you reached out to me and I said, wait, I think I've seen this guy across my feed before. Your hair is pretty unforgettable. So it's a good way for people to remember you. And yeah, I absolutely appreciate the opportunity. And I look forward to talking with you again soon.
I interview experts like you who are working and building and solving different problems for different businesses. Recently, I interviewed the vice president of Amazon Web Services, and a couple of technology company CEOs from Texas and also from California. And also, I interview from all over the world. I interviewed more than 860 experts and also 200 to 300 chief executive officers in last couple of years. I'm an actually a DevOps guy. I'm a technology guy. I did masters in software engineering, also bachelor's in computer science and engineering. Right now, I'm working as a DevOps engineer for a London company from India. So that's my actual work. So apart from this, I'm interviewing experts like you who are solving different problems in the world and for building and for helping different businesses and in their productivity. So how this experience interviewing experts like you, uh, this experience is going to helpful for me in future in my career.
Fantastic. Happy to be a part of that. And best of luck with the channel and with all your success moving forward.
How this experience is going to be helpful for me as per your observation.
How is this experience going to be helpful for you? How is your background going to support your future growth? Is that the so
Interviewing experts like you. from different countries and from different businesses?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I think it's phenomenal. So I think getting different perspectives from people across the world in leadership positions in their respective field, I think you gain insight and access that that many people would never understand or learn any other way. You know, everybody has become successful for their own, you know, unique reasons, and understanding what those reasons are and how they developed those skills and how they applied them and how the world benefits from them is great knowledge for you to have, because you can understand which skills align best with your experience and your personality traits and your brain type, and then you can maybe focus on certain skills more than others and really start to refine your craft and refine exactly how you want to position yourself moving forward. And I mean, learning from others is one of the best ways to learn, in my opinion. So the fact that you talk to other people as a part of your, you know, business is one of the fastest ways to get as much information as you can and to help yourself grow and improve. So well done. Those are some very impressive numbers you listed. You know, 800 podcasts and 200 or 300 different CEOs and stuff. Those aren't rookie numbers. You know, those are like big league numbers, right? So that's awesome, man. Yeah, keep it going. I want to hear from you next year that it's now, you know, 1,800 and 1,200 people. And then the next year you have three other people in your team that are doing interviews. So then it's like 5,000, right? So you should set out to interview all of the top leaders across the world, right? So that should be your goal, right? If that's what you want to do, then go for it. And I don't see
You have
anything that's
already
stopping you. Huh?
already added a lot of value to my podcast, Jason. And one last question, which is related to your work, is what recently Artemis 2. Like, what's your words?
So Artemis 2 should land not too far from where I'm seated right now. It's landing off the coast of San Diego in, I think, 2 hours approximately. And it's absolutely amazing. I looked at all of the photos released this past Monday. Some very brave people participated on the mission, and I can't wait to see all of the data that comes back and the public, you know, what will be released and all of the learnings and findings and facts. You know, I was really excited. I saw some videos of, you know, even youngsters, you know, like early teenagers and younger, who were basically brought to tears when they saw the launch, because they were so moved by the engineering feat of it. And I think that such missions are critical in inspiring, you know, young people, and, you know, and kind of resparking, you know, the motivation within a lot of people to continue pushing the limits. And I think it's absolutely fantastic. It reminds people that anything's possible, and nothing's out of reach. So you just have to keep trying. You just have to keep trying. And that is absolutely, yeah, it was amazing. And I pray that everything goes well for the landing in the next couple of hours. And I can't wait to see what the reports say after the mission completes and everything's reported and released. Really excited for that.
Why I'm asking this question to you, because you work on the development of these products and also help in different companies in making these products work, right? So uh, what do you I mean, what's your observation? Have you checked the mechanism of this machine, or have you followed this mission? Because it's not easy for a human to build a rocket that or a machine that goes to 400K kilometers away from the planet, all close to the moon, and returning back to the earth. So as a human being, as a person who is building products or helping in building this kind of products, what kind of effort that is needed, and do you have any such kind of information, that because you work relatedly, right? So what kind of products, I mean, what kind of a mechanism that is used, and how that is related to your work?
Well, basically, I mean, as far as rockets are concerned, NASA has been doing this for decades. And you've seen in the last 10, 15, 20 years, led by SpaceX, all of the new entrants into this market, right? Kind of not developing exactly the same platform that Artemis 2 used, but, supplementing technology that improves the ability to launch or to orbit or to kind of fulfill these missions. And, yeah, it's insane. If anyone has the opportunity to, well, I'm sure everyone has the opportunity to check out YouTube videos, but what you can see are little bits of insights into the manufacturing operations, into the companies that actually put these things together, and it's insane. In a lot of atmospheres, it looks like a hospital, right? Because people are wearing gowns, everything is particle controlled. Everything is documented and traced. The types of materials that are used are incredibly rare and strong and difficult to work with and difficult to machine, but it's what's required to withstand all of the elements and all the different constraints in such programs. And yeah, one thing I'd say is it takes a massive amount of people to get this done, right? Experts across many disciplines, dozens, hundreds of different companies specializing in their respective field. And it takes an absolute army to get these things done. So very impressed with what Artemis 2 has accomplished so far.
So thank you very much again for giving me your valuable time and sharing your work and uh, telling about what you do to my audience. And keep going
Thank
and
you.
keep doing the great work, sir.
Appreciate you. Have a great day.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye bye. Bye bye.